In our consumer alert, huge multinational companies like Cisco, Microsoft, GE, and JP Morgan are expected to release their earnings in the coming weeks. And experts say that if you want to know where the U.S. economy is headed, you should pay close attention to corporate earnings to find out. And it comes as one major company is warning a global recession could be seen. Jen Sullivan has more.
Soaring inflation and interest rates in the U.S. and a war and energy crisis overseas. And now, at least one major multinational corporation is sounding the alarm, warning that a global recession could be ahead.
The recession risks are high everywhere, and in many parts of the world, a lot higher than they are here.
FedEx says the weakening economy could cause it to fall $500 million short of its revenue target. The shipping giant says it's temporarily parking some cargo planes and closing offices after demand for packages crumbled. Earlier this month, FedEx CEO was asked if he thinks we're headed for a global recession.
Well, I'm not an economist, but you know,
you know more than economists. Come on, they don't. They just push papers. You actually look at papers.
Well, I think so.
Meanwhile, many independent contractors who make deliveries for the company are raising concerns, saying rising costs for fuel, labor, and new vehicles have made their businesses unprofitable, with some threatening to halt operations on Black Friday. Experts say because FedEx ships a huge variety of goods across the world, it's a good measure of how the global economy is doing. Economists say FedEx is also struggling with a big shift in consumer preferences as the economy opens up and we're not buying as many online goods compared to earlier in the pandemic.
This shift in what consumers are spending on their money on is really having a big impact on companies like FedEx.
But is the slowdown at FedEx isolated? Experts say we'll find out soon as earnings reports from retailers and manufacturers are released in the coming weeks. That data could give investors a better idea of how the economy is doing amid growing recession fears. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
A recent Business Roundtable survey of CEOs showed increasing concerns, with business leaders saying they're scaling back hiring plans and capital investment amid high inflation and soaring interest rates, while also citing the war in Ukraine and an energy crisis in Europe. Well, gold prices are down almost 20% after prices peaked back in March, and that puts the precious metal on the cusp of a bear market, which experts say is strange because this should be the perfect time to own gold. Experts say it's mostly because of the Federal Reserve's aggressive interest rate hikes that have pushed the U.S. dollar to a two-decade high. We'll add beer shortages to the list of items in short supply. A shortage of aluminum cans and carbon dioxide could be the next supply chain issue to impact you. And brewers also say that they're being punched by rising prices of malted barley and hops and transportation. Beer prices are up 5% so far this year. But Amazon is getting a big jump on the holiday shopping season. The company is rolling out what it's calling a Prime Early Access sale, which will be similar to its annual Prime Day sale. Deals will be offered on hundreds of thousands of items to Prime members. That's important. And the sale is set for October 11th as well as the 12th.